Welcome to the Kent Lapp Podcast.
Cryotherapy. I don't know a lot about this. I've never experienced it. What are your thoughts on cryotherapy? Is it very beneficial? Is it helpful? Is it something that it's fine if you can do it maybe after if your body's tight or something like what? Or is it something that you could mix in as sort of a weekly or monthly thing that would be beneficial?
Yeah. I mean, when it comes down to the research, it's hard to find anything that clearly and convincingly substantiates it.
That's what I found last summer too.
As a modality.
Yeah.
But then you have a lot of testimonial and just anecdotal evidence that it can help. So I've experienced cryotherapy. And I mean, I like it. I like to think it does help in some regard with recovery. I know one thing it does for me is it rejuvenates me. Like if I go to a cryotherapy, there's the place in town that I think is wonderful. It's called Restore. It's on Franklin Road in Brentwood. I know the guy. He's a great guy. He runs a really kind, generous family. All that good stuff. I think he's opening a place in Green Hills soon.
I picked up a flyer of theirs at your office.
Yeah. So Vinny's a great guy. He really is. And I know when I experience it, that's what I get from it. I just feel like rejuvenated. You're in that booth and you come out of there and it's cold and so I mean for me, yeah. I mean I there's some good to it. I like the cold.
I mean, technically, cryotherapy is just putting your body in cold. Like, it could be an ice bath. It could technically be considered cryotherapy or not so much?
Yeah.
Loosely?
Yeah, loosely. Okay. I think the cryotherapy, like the service where you go in and you get this whole body cryo where they use the nitrogen gas and all that stuff, it's a much quicker process. You're in there for 2 or 3 minutes and you're out. Whereas an ice bath, you're typically in there longer. I think there's it's cool. I mean, the science you mentioned Wim Hof earlier. I mean, that dude's fascinating.
Yeah, he's a freak of nature.
For me personally, I begin every day. I have kind of my morning routine, but part of my morning routine is a cold shower. And it's just, I like to take a cold shower before I eat breakfast, and then after I eat breakfast, I head off to my office.
It is, okay, how long and how cold?
I spend at least 3 minutes now. When I first started, I would do like 30 seconds or a minute. Now I like to sit in there for about 3 minutes and just as cold as I can get it. Obviously, in the colder months of the year, it's a little bit colder than it is in the summer months. But
you put it on cold either way?
I put it on cold in the morning. Sometimes I'll do it at night too, but oftentimes I'll just take a warm shower at night because, like I said, if I do a cold, oftentimes it just kind of it gets my juices flowing. It gives me energy.
Yeah, I've heard too, taking a cold shower can make your skin stay basically not tighter longer, like as you get older. Like it doesn't, your skin doesn't get loose and wrinkly as easy.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that people report. I know, like Wim Hof. The fascinating thing and the concept that he talks about is this concept of hormetic stress. Like he says that. And the cool thing is there's a lot of figures now in the scientific community that are saying, wow, this guy's onto something. Like we need to pay more attention to him. Because he has talked about for years now how our bodies, our nervous system has become this concept of homeostasis. It's become so, with the luxuries of technology, you got the thermostat, set it for 70 degrees or 72, whatever. Temperature goes up a little bit, boom, thermostat turns on, you get cool. And our bodies are never exposed to these things that kind of take you to the limit.
That's true.
So cold is one way. Of course, like a sauna it would be the opposite way, to expose yourself to hot temperatures. But basically, making your nervous system adapt. So when when you jump into cold water, or you get into the cryo booth, or what have you, you walk outside, it forces, you get this capillary, this vasoconstriction effect, and Wim Hof would tell you, hey, that's good for your body. You're making it work. You're making it adapt. You're building up your immune system by exposing it to these different elements and making it figure things out a little bit, so to speak.
It's just interesting because that's not what we were taught, or that wasn't the common knowledge. Like, I remember, going outside as a kid, if it's cold, and mom being like, get your jacket on, you're going to get sick.
Yeah.
And where she learned that, I don't know, but that was the common, everyone knew that, right? Like, you're going to get sick if you go outside in the snow.
That's right.
Without a jacket on. And even now recently, because my wife has been the one that's kind of showing me that this is not necessarily the case. And like, even as recent as this winter, kids wanted to go out and jump, and it was kind of cold, and I think it might have been even snowing a little bit. And I was like, well, you guys got to get your jackets on. You're going to get sick. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Are they, though? Because she's like, no, let them go.
Yeah.
They're fine. If they get cold enough, they'll come back in. So apparently you don't necessarily get sick when you get a little chilly outside. Like, that might not be what makes you sick.
Right. I think kind of back to our comments earlier about COVID and other viruses and pathogens that we're exposed to. We're exposed to hundreds of different viruses and pathogens on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But I think your point goes back to the host. Like, us as individuals, what are we providing fertile ground for these invaders to come and make themselves known, or are we giving our body the goods and exposing it to different things that then involve this is cool how our conversation is coming full circle. All those exposures and things make our bodies more resilient to those intruders.
Yes, 100%. And this is one thing that Michael Major was saying last time on the podcast, was germ theory versus the terrain theory. And the germ theory being like, if you have a pile of trash and you're spraying Clorox all over it or whatever, like, you're trying to sanitize the junk pile. Well, instead of doing, and rats will go for a little bit. If you spray enough of Clorox on a junk pile, all the rats will leave. But what happens? The rats will come back. Well, how about if you had this nice, healthy, beautiful kind of terrain where there's fields and mountains and trees, and the deer are eating in the meadow, and it's just a clean terrain? You don't have rats infesting that place.
Right.
It's the germ theory versus terrain theory. It makes total sense.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things that was frustrating, is just seeing everyone's reaction to COVID-19. I mean, let's be honest. The reaction was the germ theory. That was 100% of the reaction. What can we spray? What can we mask up? What can we stay away from?
Yeah.
What can we not do? God forbid we got to go outdoors, and it's like, oh man. Well, there is a time for that, by the way. Like, and I'll say, early on in COVID-19, it looked like that might be a good thing to do based on what it looked like it could turn into. But it was only a few weeks or a couple of months we realized, oh, nope, it's not what we thought to begin with. Thank God.
Yeah.
And so at that point, though, it was like a couple months in, is where I thought the sentiment could have turned more towards the terrain theory. It just hasn't yet. And now,